Guys, it is Laurie of Laurie's Sewing. I spent some time this morning trying to track down the jelly roll that I purchased from Etsy to hopefully get this project underway. And by this project, I mean this project. So I bought the fabric for the lining, which I love. I think it's really pretty. It's 100% cotton. It feels really nice. It's a really pretty hand cotton fabric by Andover, and I'm going to use it to line the Quilt As You Go June Taylor Alexandra tote when I finally get a jelly roll. So here's what I did. Because it has been forever since I ordered that from the Etsy shop called Edward Shop, I decided I would look into it, see if there's anything I can do, which, you know, if you don't get a package that you order, it takes forever to get that all sorted out. The thing is, I'm impatient. I'm not going to wait anymore. So I did go ahead and order another jelly roll that has the basic same color combo that the one that I ordered from Etsy had, and it will be here tomorrow. I ordered it this morning. So there's a huge difference right there, and I didn't have to pay for shipping. That's the other huge difference. So I've learned my lesson. There's a level of I need it now that I can't get from Etsy. That is that. I started working on the jacket sleeves, and by jacket sleeves I mean the pattern that I'm making for myself. It is a top. It is Simplicity 7122 shirt, and I decided to make this as a jacket. Tomorrow I will be getting the cardigan clip that will go across the lower edge of the neck to secure this. I chose not to put the buttonholes and the buttons on it. So what I'm doing with the sleeves, I guess what I should do is show you the pattern. Here it is right here. So as you can see, I think, this is the view that I made with the long sleeves. This view right here, this is not a cuff. This is just simply the sleeve is folded on itself, you know, wrong sides together, and then you just hem it and give it a nice little top stitch around the lower edge. The problem with that for me is it doesn't offer me enough versatility to roll it up. And as you can see, I mean, I know this is sloppy, but this is the way I roll up my sleeves. I do this 12 months out of the year. I don't ever wear them down. She doesn't wear them down. She's got them pushed up. But these only go up to about right here on my arm, which is too irritating. I don't like that. So I have decided that I am going to undo the lower seam at 5 inches on both sides. I have trimmed my seam allowance on the inside of the sleeve with my pinking shears, and I decided to measure up 5 inches, and I'll just mark that with my ruler and a friction ink erasable ink. I can erase it with my iron. And then I'm going to mimic the side vents that this shirt has. So this will then be finished. It will be like a little opening on the underside of the sleeve, and I can then roll it up or just simply push it up. I do need to make a small hem on the lower edge. This was finished with a zigzag, a really close zigzag finish. So I'm probably, once I get this opened up, I'm just going to turn this under a small amount, maybe a half of an inch, and stitch it down and call that good. And 5 inches is not an arbitrary measurement. The last time I tried this on, I discovered these are about 2 inches over the palm of my hand at this length. And I felt like if I do a half of an inch, then that's 4.5 inches of this, and I can fold it and then fold it back. And I think that would be, for me anyway, that would look right. Okay. So starting here where I drew the line, I am just going to pop threads using my seam ripper. I can just fold it along the seam line that's already there on both sides and do exactly the same thing that I did to create the vent on the side, like this right here. And that is a very simple stitch. You just stitch along right here, spread open the seam allowance, stitch across, and then with this side folded down, do the same thing, just stitch along that edge. And then you have a little sleeve vent. I do want to hem this first though. It's so much easier to do that with this unstitched. We'll take this. And as you can see, they're just really good at that. If you feel like you need a little assist, these are fabulous for picking up threads, lint, whatever you've got hanging out in your sewing area. All right, so again, I'm just gonna, I missed one. He was hiding on the inside with his friend. There we go. Okay, so I am going to hem this down at about a half of an inch. I'll measure and mark and hem and do that on both. Then I will do this vent right here, and then I think I should be done. If I try it on and I don't care for the way that looks, then I'll have to fix it, but at the moment that's pretty much the only option I felt like I had. Now there is a little bit of decorative whatnot that you can do. You've got a vent on the sleeve, so you could put some little fabric medallion. You could do some embroidery, pretend buttons. There's all kinds of things that you could sew on probably the bottom. Let's see where. So probably on the front lower edge, which would be this one right here. Actually, I think the back lower edge would be more appropriate. But anyway, so that's the next little step that I have. It won't take me any time at all to get that done. It should be very simple, and I'll show you what it looks like when I come back. Alright, so the sleeves have been done, and I'm just going to press out that heat erase ink. I think it's caught on, there we go, it was caught on the other sleeve inside. I've got rolled up sleeves on top of a t-shirt. So here it is right now, and all I have to do is just fold this back and then fold it back again, like so. And it's right where I would like for it to be. I have a lot of bulk in here due to this other sleeve that's rolled up. But, I mean, I can take it up even higher if I want, or I can leave it down, which I'm less likely to do, but sorry, trying to get, okay, there we go. I should have just gone ahead and taken the plaid flannel shirt off prior to putting this one on, but I decided not to. I do like this, and I think it'll make a nice jacket for me. And when I get the cardigan closure, which if you haven't been following along, I'll try to remember to link my last video where I discuss it, show the pictures of it, kind of just go over what it is. I'll try to link that below this video. I don't think I'll forget. A mask for myself, probably 2 out of the leftover, scraps that I had from my shirt that is currently in the washing machine, by the way. There are all kinds of printable mask patterns on the internet. Almost all of them will say that they are copyrighted and that you can use them for personal use and not to sell. So my recommendation is go find a pattern that you can use. I found one that I'm using from craftpassion.com. It is meant for hobby and personal use only, do not sell. So I don't know that I can actually show you this pattern. I don't think it would be in violation of what they're saying because I'm not selling it. I'm just using it for myself. And I don't know that you would be able to get enough good information off of this to actually, do anything with in a sell situation where you're making money off of it. So I'm just going to go ahead. It has the small children, a young child, or a smallish person, adult. It has a teenager and woman size, and then it also has a large for an extra large person or a man. Okay, so that's what that's all about. So when I make mine, I use the teenage and woman, but I like mine to be a little bit higher over on up on my nose, because when I make these patterns, that gets turned under. So I just cut this out to fit my face, and I'm gonna add a good, what do I usually add? About 1.5 inches right here off of this side. And I'll show you why when I get around to cutting this out. So, and there is a scale on the craftpassion.com website. It's a 2-inch line that you can use to determine whether you're printing this out at the right size or not. I did that. I did print it out at the correct size. So I kind of know how to cut this out so that it fits my face with the requirements that I personally have, which I'll go through all of that. It basically changes this pattern quite a bit. I'll just leave it at that. So I'm going to press this little pattern piece flat. I don't want it bent. I don't want it to be aggravating and difficult to work with. Oh, the main thing that you want to do is just have a flat pattern. I don't like using glues. I don't want any kind of tape on here, so I just want a flat piece of paper, which I now have. I have to let it cool though, because if I trace around it with a heat erase, it won't stay, because the warmth from the iron, the piece of paper, and all of that will just cause the ink to disappear, and you end up with a big mess. So the next thing I'm going to do is trace. I want to trace around the mask. I don't want to try to pin this to my fabric. I don't want holes either in this fabric other than my stitching, holes from my stitching needle. And I don't want holes in the body of this from using pins. So I'm just going to simply trace, but I need to make sure that I leave a good amount, usually about 1 inch from this edge right here. Kind of figure out what 1 inch is beyond the edge of this. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be 3/4 of an inch. It could be 1.25 inches. I can, once I got it cut out, I can, manipulate it to be what it needs to be. Okay, so here's the edge of this, and this is about 1 inch right here. So all I have to do is just take a ruler or another piece of paper, something that's, not going to shift, and just draw a slightly angled line. Okay. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just something like that. And then just kind of drag that together like that. Now I do want to be careful because this isn't really a cutting surface. Now the fun thing about this is you will now have a mask that will match something in your wardrobe. Kind of fun. Lock those stitches. Put your fabrics right side together, like so. And start on the lower bottom edge and work your way up to the point. Okay, so here is the first one. Which we will press, by the way. And here is the second one, and again, we'll press. By not taking a massive seam allowance, I don't even have to worry about trimming. It turns out just fine, but if you do have an issue with that, you can use your pinking shears to cut that, or just relax the fabric like so. Before pressing open, just press flat like so. That helps to relax that just a little bit more, makes it a little bit more agreeable to turning out. So one is the lining and one is the mask. And in order to make that happen, we're going to have them right sides together with this seam at the top matched up, and one set of seam allowances going left and one set of seam allowances going right, and that seam is going to sit right together like so. And you either want to pin it or clip it, and you know I'm not a great big fan of pins, but this is kind of more of a pin situation and less of a clip situation. Okay, and we're just going to stitch this top band, top edge right here. Nothing else, just the top. These masks I bought on Amazon. They were on sale. They were like half price, and I bought them at kind of the midpoint of this past year and this current year. They are unwearable. This side that goes against your face, within minutes of placing this on your face, it becomes like a caustic cotton ball. It is the fuzziest, most uncomfortable thing I've ever had to put on my face. However, they are useful. My paper cutting scissors, I am going to look through this, and you can see there's a metal bar in there, right there. So I am going to cut it open, And contrary to popular belief, a giant spider is not going to jump out and get me. But I am going to just try to push this. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I just want access to the bar. There it is. Okay, right there. Okay, and if you need to, you can reuse these. There's nothing wrong with them, and I will use them in this case. The fact of the matter is, if they degrade or fall apart or just wear out over time, I can cut them off and put on a different piece of elastic. So the next step is we're going to press. I didn't do that yet. Okay, so we're going to press down this that we just stitched, just right across the top edge. So we're still working with this wrong sides out, like so. And make sure that you have actually stitched, you know, all of the fabric. I see a little bit, I got a little bit too close to the edge, so I'm going to go ahead and restitch this just a little bit better. I don't want this to come undone. And then we will clip into our curves and we'll be flipping it this way. But we're not going to stitch it just yet because we're going to finish either with a pair of pinking shears or a zigzag. We're going to finish this edge right here. I'll probably use pinking shears to preserve my thread. So don't do anything else, just open it out and then decide how you want to finish off this edge right here, keeping in mind that it will eventually be like this. And you can fold in the edges. I'm going to go ahead and pink mine, and then I'll fold them in. And you can see I'm just barely kissing the edge of the fabric with these big pinking shears. So that's how much I cut off. Now, one thing we need to work on is where are we going to put the metal band. So we need to make a casing for that from outside by stitching this together. I've got to clip these curves, but I'm just going to try to show you. So we want to stitch and then turn and then press, and then we're just going to come here and stitch right here. You want it to be long enough to accommodate this metal bar. Just kind of mark it about halfway like that, and don't stitch it closed. But as you can see, this is tiny, so you don't need a big wide casing for that. It can be really small. Alright, so I need to go fix my stitching on the side that I got too close to the edge on, right there. And then we're going to clip some of this out, flip it over, press it, and then make the casing for the bar. I'm just going to trim it down. The less bulk there is, the better. And of course, the more times you press this, the more it shrinks up. So if you did create any holes in the process of making it thus far. Just keep pressing it and the fabric will shrink up if you're using cotton, which I assume you are. Not that you would have to, but it is kind of a comfortable fabric that most of us prefer, and it's washable. So, okay, so I have pressed and clipped. Now I'm going to turn like so, and there it is. I'm going to take the rounded edge of my point turner and just kind of work it along that seam, and that will help it to stay open. It's not really a function of turning it as much as it is of just getting it to stay. You could also use like a rubber mallet, and you'd have the same effect. If you could get it to like lay like this, you could just, you know, hit it with a rubber mallet. It's another awesome technique for getting things to stay. All right, I do want to press this flat, and sometimes if you have a pressing device, like I've got a sleeve board that I could use, I don't mind, you know, doing it this way either on my Heirloom Stitchers Shape and Press. I recommend a hot iron. And I also suggest that you do both of the open sides first and work your way to the center from both sides. Now I'm going to take this little bar, and actually the best way to figure this out is to measure the bar. It is basically 4 inches. So 2 inches on one side and 2 on the other is what we want. Okay, so I'm going to stitch a casing from here. I'll just, oops, sorry, hold it there, and it will go in the casing, and it will go around, and it will end, well, almost there. Let's see, I'll fold it in half. Yeah, okay, that's right. So, I want this casing to be as close to my stitched edge as possible, because if it's way down here, that's too much room for this little tiny skinny metal bar to be floating around in. So I need to make it just big enough to get this to slip through there. So that's what I'm going to do next. Now we'll see if it'll fit in there. So here it is right here, stitched right there, and I'm just going to take the metal bar and slide it in. You might hit that seam right in the middle, and if you do, I recommend you just twist it and kind of wiggle it, kind of twist it, twist the seam a little, and there you go. Your metal bar will just fit right in there. Okay, now we have to stitch. I want those even, and then I have to stitch to close it off, but I'm going to stitch away from the metal bar. I do not want to hit the metal bar with my sewing machine needle. So I'm going to clip, first things first, clip the metal bar in place so that it cannot slide. Make sure it's where you're going to want it to be, and then put a clamp right on there, just holding onto the metal bar, not over it, not like that, because it'll just slip right through that, but right on that metal bar, like so. And then take this to the sewing machine and stitch just past that bar. So my bar ends right here. I'm going to be stitching right over here, away from this metal. Cut that thread, and I'll be right back. Actually, I decided I want you to watch just in case this is all new to you. Maybe you need to see what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay. So here we are. I can put this like this in the sewing machine and not have to worry about removing these clips. They're not going to be in the way. So I'm going to come right over here. Now the metal bar is right, it ends right here on the opposite side of my sewing machine foot. My needle is just going through fabric. So I'm going to go stitch, stitch, and then back up. Okay. I don't want it to slide out. You know how that could happen with your mask. If you were wearing the mask and the metal bar slips out, we're constantly squeezing those little metal bars to get them to stay on our face, and it just needs a little pocket to sit in where it can't come out. That's the main thing. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over so I can get to the other side like this. Figure out where the metal bar is right there. If I put my sewing machine foot down, I can feel it right there. And if I hand crank my needle and it doesn't hit the bar, then I feel pretty confident that I can go ahead and stitch, stitch, and just, you know, forward, backward, whatever you feel like would be a good way, a good amount of stitching to keep that little bar inside the pocket that you just made. Okay, and now you can take these off, and we have a metal bar to help shape our mask. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is open this out, and we're going to press this in like so and stitch it down. I think I can do it without having to press. I think I can just visually see. And again, it's just a tiny little hem. Okay. Just keep going. Oh, they're stitched together, so I just need to unstitch it. And now I've got both sides hemmed like so. And I need to do the bottom. So I'm going to turn this way. I don't have to push this out. My metal bar is inserted, so I'm just going to match up the bottom and take a scant 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, you know, whatever size that bottom seam allowance needs to be. For me, I'm going to do probably somewhere between 1/4 and an 1/8. These side openings, just push it through. Be mindful of your metal bar, like so. And if you want to, you can give it a press. Now here's the nice thing, you have an open area between the mask and the lining, or the interior lining and the mask. So let's go see what we can do with this. Okay, so next, I don't think anything I just did was recording. There is a piece of the mask inside. I pushed it in. Now what you can do is you can use 1 or 2 or 3 layers. I take the fuzzy layer off. I don't care for it, but as you can see, this will, you know, it just comes apart like so. And if you want to, I don't use my fabric cutting scissors, I use my paper scissors, but you can cut this in just a small little piece to go right in the front of your mask. It certainly doesn't have to go all the way across because your face is covered. This is just to filter a little bit more of what you're breathing. So I want it in the shedder direction, not the catcher direction. So as you can see, the pleats are going up, and anything that fell into these would be caught. If they're going down, anything would just land on them and fall off. So I put this in my mask in that direction. Okay, so here it is like so. And then you can take whatever you have. If you have a pair of tweezers or some hemostats, or I have jewelry pliers, you can just reach in. Let's just try it with the tweezers first. Just reach through here and grab on and pull, and it will just, you just want it to go to the center. So just pull it through. You can also manipulate it with your hands, you know, just however you want to get it into the center part of your mask. Now it is, for me, it is just going to be in there. It's just going to be floating around in my mask. I know you can't see it in there, but it's there. Right in the middle. You can hold it up and kind of look through it. Shake it around, and before I wash it, you know, if I wear this a couple times and then I wash it, I'll take that out. That's why I don't want it stitched in. And it's not something that you have to do. This fabric, 2 layers of this fabric is plenty, but there you have it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is attach the elastic. So you can use these clips if you want to. If you have good luck pinning them, you can pin them. Okay. So here's the elastic. Let's get our threads to the back. And I'm just going to push a piece of elastic right in, just a tiny little bit, about that much. Right there, or less. And I'm going to put one part right there. Okay. Feels pretty good. And I'm going to do the same thing down here at the bottom. Oops. still going to have to make the pleat in the front. I don't know if that's a me thing or just what, but I absolutely have to have this pleat, apparently. There's too much of a gap right here, and it happens on every mask. So I've gotten in the habit of doing it, and I don't mind doing it. So what I do is I know where to do it. I can kind of feel it on my face, and I just do a zigzag. Now if you make this mask and you find that you need to do that pleat, there's a couple things. One, do not stitch over that metal bar. If you've inserted one, make sure that you're down here away from it. And check it on your face after you do the first one. Okay, that's perfect. And then you can feel where you need to do the second one, and I have mine going in the same direction. So if this one folds from here this way, then this one will also fold from here going this way. And I try to have them in the same place. Now another way to do those pleats that help with the fit is, instead of putting them on the front part of the mask, you can put them on this side edge right here, but it will seal off your ability to put a layer of mask tissue, tissue in between the outer and the lining. If you don't seal that off, even with these stitched, you can still put in or take out a piece of lining through the middle, through this opening right here. So let me try this on again. Yes. So here it is. It's on my face. It fits really well behind my ear. This elastic is very stretchy, but at the same time it's holding it in place. I don't feel like it's going to come off. It fits all the way around. The other side, same thing. Oh, wispy hair. It fits really nice across my nose. I'm not feeling like it's going to slip down. It's not trying to creep up. I've had masks that have ended up like up here, halfway across my eye. I think it might have only taken me about a total of, from cutout to putting it on my face, about 7 minutes. So that's a doable thing. Okay guys, well thank you again for watching. I hope that you're able to do this. If you need to do this, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Just drop a comment below. Thank you. Bye. Okay guys, so thank you for watching. If you liked this crazy wacky video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the little bing bong for notifications. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.